across to Professor Olexiy Haran, Professor of Political Science at the National University of Kyiv, Research Director at the Democratic Initiatives Foundation. Mr. Haran, welcome. Can you give our viewers a sense of how you think the government in Ukraine is holding up? And from a Ukrainian perspective, what kind of battle plans do you think the Ukrainian army can possibly have, given the volume and the lethality of the force that's coming their way?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank your correspondent who is in Kyiv right now, and his description is correct. However, I would like to tell you that at this point there are no, Kharkiv is not occupied. I've just, listening for you, I've called to double check to my friends in Kharkiv. There are no Russian tanks in the city. They are trying to infiltrate, that's right, but Kharkiv remains in Ukrainian hands. Regarding Kyiv, okay, listen, I have already told it, don't believe any word of Russian propaganda, because during the first day of attack, what we heard from Indian TV, unfortunately, that invasion almost complete, Kyiv is encircled, and so on and so forth. Now is 7th day of our defense. Kyiv is not encircled, invasion is not complete. As of now, Russia managed to seize only one regional center in Ukraine, which is in the south, after first battle. Only one. All in every other place, Ukrainians are resisting. And basically, on the ground, Russia is losing. Russia is having such large losses that the only way to conquer Kyiv is totally bomb and shell the city and to destroy the city. That's the only way for them, because Ukrainian forces with territorial defense, with our volunteers, are resisting with such a high patriotic move. 80,000 Ukrainians came from Europe, so they're returning from Europe to defending the country. You may see the videos of Ukrainian men who are helping their families to evacuate, and then they are coming from the border back to Ukraine to take arms. So the level of patriotism is extremely high. So that's why I think Putin will continue to have his war crimes. And definitely we in Ukraine, we understand that Prime Minister Modi is doing his best to save Indians. But what about stopping the war in general? Because what Putin is doing to Russian-speaking Kharkiv, is it liberation, as he proclaims, or is it a genocide against all Ukrainians, including Russian speakers? Please be careful with the maps which you are showing. I'm watching you online. I managed to do it. So on the map, you see Russian tanks in the center of Ukraine. This is simply not correct. So while using, please, you have Ukrainian official sources, you have brave correspondents on the ground. They will tell you the situation. Don't believe any word from the Russian propaganda. We applied to the Red Cross to help us evacuate our citizens from cities in the east and south. There's no move. So Putin is actually refusing to help us create safe havens and to evacuate civilians who are under attack. So not let me urge India. India is the largest democracy in the world. Please take care not only about Indian students. Make all you can do to stop the war. You know, last round of negotiations, actually, Russia said, okay, we are negotiating, but we are not going to stop offensive. And they, during negotiations, they were shelling Kyiv. I'm in Kyiv. I'm at the north of Kyiv. It's 20 miles from the front line. We are shelled. So Russia is very, very, very cynical. Please help us to stop the war.
Sure, no, and I must tell you and anyone else who's watching that while, of course, the Indian students are in our thoughts, as much concern goes out to the Ukrainian nationals and the country and the people of Ukraine, because it's not just the Indian students. It's about bringing an end to this war, bringing an end to this madness, and not allowing this travesty and this violence to go on.